Hello and welcome to Mindset Mondays with DTK. This is episode 49 in a year-long series of weekly Facebook Live broadcasts designed for those who have a growth mindset or those who'd like to create one to play with new ideas, new concepts, and try on new mindsets. So if you'll take just a moment, look down below this video and click share. Invite your community, your friends, your family, your colleagues to join the conversation. And join us on Facebook at facebook.com/group/Mindset Mondays to not just join the conversation, but to see past episodes and catch up on what you've missed. All right, so the playground today, right, is a quote from Vaclav Havel, right? Vision is not enough. It must be combined with venture. It's not enough to stare up the steps. We must also step up the steps. I said in a little write-up if for the emails you received this week that one of my second grade teachers, and I have intentionally chosen not to ask my mom and confirm whether this was written on one of my report cards or not. One of my second grade teachers labeled me the mouth of the South. Yes, it was a very well-deserved nickname and hard-earned. And those of you who know me, yes, I can talk a good game. I can talk a blue streak. And here's what's important though. We can all talk about ideas, about concepts, about plans and desires and goals and actions we may take, but that's just talk, right? Talking the talk is one thing, walking it is a completely different one. And what I love about this quote, if you go back and look at Vaclav Havel and his history, we know him as a former dissident and a statesman, and he led Czechoslovakia until its dissolution and was the first leader of the Czech Republic. But his career started off in theater, and he understood from his absurdist writings and background and his style, he understood the importance of not just the concept, not just the thought, not just the thinking, not just the talking about, but taking action. The difference between being the intellectualist and the author and sitting, as one of my clients says, doing the smart guy stuff and pondering. The difference in the leader is taking action. Whether that action is putting yourself out there or stepping into that leadership role and bringing those along with you, either way, action is required. Otherwise, it's just a fantastic intellectual self-experience. Vision is not enough. It must be combined with venture. It's not good enough to stare up the steps and long for. It's not just enough to stare up the steps. One must step up the stairs. Talking past the point of action is a brilliant way to avoid failure. Unfortunately, it's also a way to delay or avoid success and growth and the stretch. So obviously, in line with all of the beginning of the year playground, it's time to step up. Yeah, Charlotte's diving in. The idea of taking action is so important. She said she catches herself taking action too late. Charlotte, here's the cool thing. If you're taking action, it's not too late. Yes, you can look at it behind you in the rearview mirror and say, yes, I could have acted sooner. But my goodness, at least you acted. How often do we just talk about it and talk about it and talk about it and plan and perfect that plan of action and never take the first step? My wife Elaine and her partner Diane have a saying they use, GEMO, G-E-M-O. It's good enough, move on. And it's a way to bring to the fore, to the conscious, the need to take action and move on and not get caught up in the planning, the refining, the tweaking, the discussing. In our Vistage group years ago, Larry Hart, my Vistage chair, brought us the one, Elmo, enough, let's move on. You know, the idea that you can process ideas and concepts and questions to death. It's paralysis by analysis. But I think, you know, for me, the piece that catches is the idea of talking that good game as a way to keep from moving forward. I go back to the very beginning of the Mindset Mondays idea. Middle of last year and a half ago, Jody and I talked about this, and I talked it through, and I planned, and I didn't take action. And for me, it really was it wasn't avoiding failure as much as it was avoiding visibility, avoiding success. The one thing that this project was started for was to give me a playground to play with these new ideas, to get out in front of folk and play with these ideas and have these conversations and tweak and refine and play with my own thinking. And helping other folks play with these ideas as a way to invite folk to step into the sandbox and see what resonated. And yes, there is the book on the other side of this, which I've started. And I could talk about that book until the cows come home and never do anything about it, like I did with the last one, which is sitting on the shelf over there somewhere, half planned. But this is about taking action, and this is about declaring things out in public, so it's not as easy to step away from the declarations. It's about a bias towards action, which I keep written on my whiteboard here. It's a bias towards action. You know, I'd rather lean forward and have that bias towards action and have to remind myself to pause at times, to check in, to think about what I'm thinking about, to feel what I'm feeling, and to check the plan and the rollout rather than go into that place of perpetual intellectual masturbation and never take action. I would rather have the bias for action and have to check myself to make sure that I'm planning and I'm acting according to plan and the plan is working. For me, the bias towards action is powerful. Oh, thank you, Irene. When we become more aware, action is necessary. And it's true, not taking action is avoiding success. And so often when I work with top performers, one of the things that it seems to come up is less of a fear of failure. We're accomplished at that. And there's learning in that. And that's part of what training and growth show up as. It seems to be more of the fear of success because each time you reach that new level, there's another devil to get to work with. There's another demon to exercise. And the unconscious fear seems to be more the fear of success and having to elevate the level of performance and continue to perform at that level. Sometimes it's not about, oh God, I can't reach that level. It's what happens when I do. Then I have to stay there and perform there and be consistent there. That becomes the new normal. So what do you find gets you to stumble? Where do you stop? Is it the planning? Do you stay there in your little vacuum? Do you stop at the point of action? Where do you catch yourself? Where do you stop? And what is your stopping intended to avoid? Is it the fear of failure? Is it the fear of success? Is it the fear of performing at that next level and being consistent there? Is it being seen? I'm always curious about what the fear actually is. I hope you are too. That's what I'll offer. The question for you when you're standing in front of the mirror is, what's the fear? What's the real fear? And what do you tell yourself at that point of question? I think that's where the true work lies. No pun intended. I think that's where the true work lies, the lies that we tell ourselves. Because this is the game. Vision is not enough. It must be combined with venture. Yes, taking the time to do the internal work to get clear on the vision. Oh, hell yeah. But it's not enough to stare up those stairs. It's not enough to even declare it. You must also step up the stairs. That's where the work is. Acting on the vision, because a vision without action is just a dream. The outcomes never happen without action. Ooh, that's the exciting part. I do a lot of work with the Life GPS, Scott Eblin, Eblin. The Eblin group, Scott Eblin and his wife created something called Life GPS. And what I love about it is instead of goals, it's very clear. You are painting a picture of the outcomes you want to see created in your home life, in your work life, and in your community life. You define and declare what the outcomes are you want to see created. And I like that language. The language I use is not that you want to create, but you want to see created. Because for me, the wanting to see it created, to me, again, implies that there's more than just you required to make it happen. Yes, you're part of its creation, and oftentimes you can do it alone. But our true work in the world is bigger than any one of us. And it takes more than just us. And it often takes more than the time we have allotted. So it's about painting a resonant picture of the outcomes you want to see created in your home, in your work, and in your community. And spending your time on a day-to-day basis working towards those outcomes, taking action. And if you're interested, we can talk more about Life GPS. It's a remarkable tool, a one-page personal strategy, and it's very easy to create. It's available to you online. It's something you can take yourself through, something I take groups through, and it's a powerful tool. Being able to capture and write down who you are when you're living and leading at your best. Defining and then having a bias for action towards the routines, physical, spiritual, emotional, that allow you a higher probability of living and leading at your best, and then getting clear about what the outcomes are you want to see created in your home, your work, and your community. And it's a tool you can use with a bias for action to begin to create those outcomes. It is a tool that is both pieces. Yes, the vision, but that's not enough. And the action. We must also step up the stairs. Almost halfway through January, the beginning of a new year. What do you want to see created? in your home life, in your work life, and in your community life? What are the outcomes that you crave, the outcomes for which you are willing to take action, the outcomes for which you are willing to step up the stairs? And what's the mindset that will help you create that? So between now and next Monday, what mindset will you choose?